Welcome back to Tucked In Wizards, guys. My name is Aidan, and I'm here with Ben.
Welcome back, guys. Quick turnaround, but we got a kind of a special episode. We're doing a halfway point tier list of all the Wizards players. So we did this like 10 months ago at the beginning of the season. Opinions have changed a lot, especially on a certain player. If you go back to that last video, it's kind of funny where he ranked Kuzma. I promise you he will not be ranked there now.
No, not anymore.
Do you want to talk? I mean, the Wizards are on a 14-game losing streak, right? They just got blown out by the Mavs. Clay dropped 21 points in the first quarter. I personally thought the game started at 9. So when I turned it on at 9 and it was like 42-14, I was like, well, I guess I'm not watching this one. So that's
when I turned it on 4 minutes after, they were already down 50. Like, fuck this! I'm not gonna watch this shit. That was one of the worst games I feel like all year. That was bad.
Absolutely,
really bad.
And you know, kind of par for the course. The team sucks. The team has 6 wins. Honestly, if we were ranking these guys, like in the grand scheme of the NBA, probably most of them would get like C or below.
Yeah, but mostly F.
Yeah, but we'll be ranking them in terms of like the Wizards and how we have fun watching them and their development and stuff like that. Yep. So we can just get started. The first guy is Saddiq Bey, who I'm just gonna put in C because he hasn't played all season.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything, so whatever.
Yeah, he's kind of average. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, I mean, he hasn't played at all.
Yeah.
So if there's a tier that's just like, you know, that doesn't matter, I'd put him there.
Yeah, which I definitely should have put, but I did not. So he'll go in C, whatever. Big Val is next. What do you think? Because I know I want to give him a pretty high grade, honestly. Me too. I really like him.
For us. He's been playing his role really well. He's been teaching Sar what he needs to do. Like, you can see some of the stuff Sar does. Like, he definitely taught him his little floater that Val loves to do, and like his rebounding's been way better. I put him at B or A, honestly.
Yeah, I was even thinking like putting him at A. He's been
I like A.
One of the better backup bigs in the league, which is pretty surprising, and should fetch us a pretty good return at the trade deadline.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, there are teams like the Lakers that really need a backup big, so, and we talked about that in the trade episode. So I put him at A. He's also been a lot of fun to watch. Drew Gooden loves Valanciunas.
Yeah, he's obsessed with him. I don't know why.
He is
it's
obsessed.
It's really funny.
Bilal Coulibaly is next. So I should have read the stats. Valanciunas is averaging about 11 and 8. Bilal is averaging about 12 and 5 and 3. Bilal's been really good this year.
Yeah, he's been great.
The one thing, and why I don't want to put him in the A or A plus tier, is his shooting. His 3-point shooting has been worse than Kuzma, and we've been talking about how bad Kuzma's 3-point shooting is.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. Defensively, he's been fantastic. Offensively, he's been pretty good besides the shooting. What do you think?
I mean, I'd like to take it in context and like look at last year, because like I think people like to look at NBA players in kind of a vacuum. They don't like to add in all the context of everything that's happening with them. So like, yes, his 3-point shooting is lower, but he's taking them, and he's taking on a bigger offensive role. He only started 15 games last year. He started every single game this year.
Right.
He's increased his points per game by 4 points. He's increased his rebounding by 1, and his assists by like 1.5. So it's like, you know, big steps towards growth in the grand scheme of things. And it's a second year. Second year players always kind of have a weird time where like you've kind of figured some things out, but there's other things that you haven't quite grasped yet.
And not only that, but other teams have a scouting report on you now.
Exactly. So like, I've been very happy with him. His true shooting is like a little less. Like you said, his 3-point shooting is pretty significantly lower than it was last year. But he did have those 20 games where he shot like 45% or something.
He was.
So it's like, and then he's just shot like 10% since then. So it's kind of weird to like.
And I would put even fun factor, put him up in A. Like
I'd put him in A for sure. Just because like if you take into context the whole year, he started off way, way, way further than people were expecting, and then kind of regressed back to where people expected him to be. So to me, showing that he has those flashes in him is very encouraging.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll see as we go. We're still only halfway through, so he could very well pick it up. He's gotten already some highlight dunks. He might have the dunk of the year. So that to me even moves him up, just having someone like that. He honestly should have been invited to the dunk contest, but that's okay.
If anything, I think he should be a little more aggressive on offense, but I'm okay with him figuring it out because his defense is just so good.
Yeah. Malcolm Brogdon's the next player. Brogdon's a weird one. Brogdon's only played 18 games. He's been pretty good in those 18 games. He's not shooting fantastic, but you know he's averaging 13. He's averaging only 4 assists. I don't know why I thought it was more. But he's been a good veteran, I would say.
Yeah, I think he's been a good veteran. I don't know if he's kind of weird because it just doesn't matter anything. Like it feels like everything he does just doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
like,
he did win us one game.
Plays. Yeah, he did win us one game. That's true. But then like his defense kind of sucks, and like he's not as engaged, which like credit. I mean that's fair. He didn't sign up for this shit. Yeah. So
and also he's only played in 18 games. So it's kind of hard to like find a rhythm.
I'd be okay with him in B. I would probably put him in C just because it feels like he hasn't really gotten his trade value up very much. It feels like we're not really going to trade him. He's just kind of going to stick around and not really do much for a while.
If he played, because he's an expiring, right? If he played more games, I'd be willing to put him in B. Just the fact that he's only played 18 games makes it kind of hard to put him higher than C. Because he has been good in those games. He has been a leader in those games. It's just when you're not on the floor, it's like the Embiid thing, right? If you're not on the floor, then you know, it's hard to really rate you appropriately.
This also kind of runs into the next player, but he feels redundant because like we have Poole who's having such a great season, and then our backup is Bub. Like that's solidified. So like, where does he fit in?
Exactly.
It's not really.
It's kind of he's just like the veteran guy.
Place. Yeah, and maybe he's been great for Bub behind the scenes. Maybe he's been teaching a lot and like
he probably
really
has.
Good for chemistry. I'm sure he has. He seems like a great guy, but you know, just based on what we're seeing on the court, that's where I would put him.
Yeah. And speaking of Bub Carrington. He's next. I am inclined to put him in B. I think he's been worse than Bilal, but he has shown a lot of flashes. He's just the inconsistency is kind of ridiculous, which is expected. I said this at the beginning of the season. Guards have the hardest time adjusting, which is why we're seeing like Scoot's kind of finally figuring it out over in Portland. So I put him in B. He's a lot better than I thought he was going to be, especially shooting the ball.
That's what I was going to say. I was expecting him to play because, you know, we don't have a lot of players to send to the G League, but like be our third stringer behind Brogdon and like show flashes but not look great, and like he's looked a lot more poised than I expected. And like he's shooting 34% from 3, which is fine. He wasn't known for being a super good 3-point shooter. His mid-ranges are like kind of inconsistent, which is what he was supposed to be good at, but I think that's just because he hasn't quite figured out where his spots are yet in the NBA.
There's flashes where it looks like, he knows exactly where he's going, and then other times where he'll get to his spot and then like hesitate. And we've kind of been harping on that pretty much every video this season, but
I think there's also a bit of a weird thing going on because like clearly Kuzma's not happy behind the scenes, you know? Yeah. Like there's some shit going on with that, where maybe the locker room's kind of weird and he doesn't feel that confident being aggressive on offense that way. Because maybe he feels like, it's Poole's team, it's Sar's team, I need to get Bilal the ball or whatever. But I don't really feel that from him. Just kind of feels like he hasn't quite figured out like all the intricacies yet. The only thing that's like super concerning to me is that he's averaging 4 assists per game, which isn't terrible, but on 1.5 turnovers, which is like, I'd like to see that get better. I'd like to see him be
Don't look at Jordan Poole's assist to turnover ratio.
And we'll get there.
Yeah. No, I agree. At the bright side, he is only 19.
Exactly.
The 2 19-year-olds that are
He's
playing.
Figuring it out.
And looking at the Wizards roster, the Wizards have 7 players that are averaging over 10 points a game, which is interesting. I don't think a lot of teams have that. Of course, it's kind of just because they don't have a real number 1 option, but you know.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, from Kispert up to Poole.
Yeah.
And like that's including like Sar and Bilal, so
exactly.
That's encouraging. And Bub's right below that cutoff. Keontae's a little further down, but different role.
Yeah. Jared Butler's next. And this is such like a vacuum because he doesn't play a lot. He's kind of he's on a 2-way, right? He's played 31 games, so I wonder how much of that is garbage time. Because Johnny Davis has also played 31 games, and that dude is not getting real minutes.
I mean, he averages 11 minutes per game, which is 4 more than Johnny Davis.
Yeah, so he's definitely gotten some real minutes. Jared Butler, I think I've been really impressed with. Because we look at these players in what we expected out of them. When I think of Jared Butler, I would even put him in A. I think I've expected way more, or he's gotten way more out of what I initially expected him to be coming into the year.
I don't know if I can put him at A just because he doesn't play very often, you know? So it's like, even with the context of this is kind of what I was expecting from him. Just like garbage time minutes where he looks pretty good, but never being able to break into the meaningful minutes.
He's had a couple of really good games.
He has had a couple of really good games, but I think the thing that people really don't think about a lot of the time is like, these players that aren't getting playtime for seemingly no reason, there's a reason.
Right.
Like, maybe something's going on behind the scenes where, like, he doesn't look as good in practice.
I think the reason with Butler is he's just behind Poole and Bub.
Yeah.
And that's...
Yeah, and Brogdon when he's healthy.
Yeah.
But he can still get minutes, you know? It's just, like, I think there's not a whole lot of impact that he's brought this season.
Well, he had that stretch. He scored 18 against Chicago. He scored 29 or 26 this year against, I can't remember who it was, maybe Philly.
Memphis in December.
Yeah. So he had some stretches where he played really well, which is why I wanted to put him in A. But I also agree with you where he is also not getting minutes. Yeah. So whether it be because of Bub, but I'm still willing to put him in B, even above Malcolm Brogdon. Yeah. Just because I expected way more of Malcolm Brogdon coming into the season and way less of Jared Butler. I'm happy to put him in B
for sure. There's just been like games where like he gets like, you know, 0 points on like 8 minutes, and it's like, you know, you should be scoring a couple baskets in garbage time if you're out there. Like, that's the thing. He's out there mostly in garbage time, and he's like playing well, but he's not consistent at all.
Yeah. Next up,
he had 26 versus Philly too.
Versus Philly, yeah. I knew he had a really good game against Philly. Because my friend who's a Philly fan was talking about like, who is this guy? Justin Champagne's next. Justin Champagne, I am going to want to put in A. Justin Champagne's having a career year this year, and it's kind of a shame that he's not getting more playtime. Because every time he's been on the floor, he's been pretty much a positive. I mean, he's had this really bad game against Sacramento, but that was the whole team. He's actually not been great in his past 5, but usually when he's out there, he's been a positive. He's shooting 38% from 3 this year.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing with...
he's getting 20 minutes a game.
Butler to me. Yeah, for sure. And that's what I was going to say. It's a little different because he's starting games and like getting minutes. So I'd be cool with putting him in A.
Just like when you think of Justin Champagne,
exceeded expectations for sure.
He was getting DMPs at the beginning. Yeah. He was getting DMPs at the beginning of the season. Once he started kind of getting into that rhythm and getting the start, he put on some great games. And I'm pretty sure he was the leading scorer in one of our wins, or it was a close loss. I don't remember which one. We definitely had a Champagne game where he went crazy. But I don't
there's like one where he played pretty well. He's like a lot more. Oh no, yeah, there's his 31-point game versus the Knicks. Yeah. 44 minutes. What the fuck?
Yeah, it was an insane. That was the game that went to overtime. And
that's
lost.
Right. That's right.
But yeah, Champagne was amazing. He's exceeded expectations, at least for me, for sure. I wouldn't say he's part of the Wizards' future. I think he's like 27. But in terms of just this year, he's been pretty incredible.
He's a fun tanking guy to have.
Yeah, he's a fun tanking guy. It's like Garrison Matthews almost.
Yeah, except for more tanking.
Don't remind me.
Garrison Matthews, my Hoop Grid's GOAT.
Hoop Grid's GOAT,
0.3% or whatever.
Nobody
knew he played with Westbrook.
Him and nobody will ever get. If there's a Jonathan Williams that ever has to come up, the double king, nobody will ever get it.
If there's a Johnny Davis in 5 years, nobody's ever going to get that.
The problem is Johnny Davis is never going to play for another team.
Yeah, but we can get him on the player.
Yeah, true.
And the Wizards.
The Wizards stuff. Scored 20 points in a game. Keyshawn George is next. What do you think about Keyshawn? I've been hot and cold on him pretty much the whole year.
I've been hot and cold on him too. It's like expectations are different. He's the 27th pick.
Yeah, late. I think
so
23rd because we had that video.
23rd, yeah. So I didn't expect much from him. His shooting isn't great, which kind of sucks for a guy who's supposed to be a shooter, but he's taking them, which I like to see. He is an interesting guy because he's been aggressive in the way I want to see from the other three, Sar, Bilal, and Bub. But it hasn't been translating. Like, I think they should have his mindset of, like, every time he's pulling up at 3, or every time he comes to the 3-point line, he's open, he's shooting it.
Yeah.
That's what Bilal should be doing. That's what Bub should be doing.
Yeah.
Bub does it more, but that's what Bilal should be doing, especially.
Especially they're just going to leave Bilal open now, so he's got to take advantage of that.
And he's scoring okay. He's got like 7-something points, which is fine for something that late. And his defense has like actually been pretty good.
Yeah,
he's
had
been
to
starting
guard
the past
LeBron
couple games because of his defense.
Yeah, guarded LeBron last game against the Lakers.
So I kind of like putting him at like the bottom of B.
Yeah,
where like
I would that
he's
bottom would be tough.
Yeah, where he's like kind of exceeding expectations a bit, but not enough for me to get super excited about him. It's just like, you know, he's kind of showcasing what we drafted him for, his defense and like aggressiveness with shooting. So I'm cool with it. It's like he kind of reminds me of like Kisper's first year, where he didn't really know what was going on and like was trying to take all these threes, wasn't really comfortable, but with defense. So
yeah,
if he can, I think he has a future. I don't think he's going to be a star or anything, but I think he could become like a solid role player for us for sure.
Yeah, and it's the same thing as like Keyshawn will go as far as his shooting goes, pretty much.
Yeah.
If his shooting stays the same as it is now, he doesn't really have a future in the league.
No.
But, you know, nobody just stays the same. Well, okay, let me not say that. Usually people don't. I was thinking of Rui Hachimura too.
True.
Usually players don't stay the same, especially when they're young, like Keyshawn is. He'll get in the gym with a shooting coach. He'll, you know, work on his game and continue to improve. And if the shooting comes along, even to league average, he'll be a solid 3-and-D guy that will stick in this league, whether it's with the Wizards or someone else down the line. But
I think it's interesting too, because he's like, I feel like with shooters, they always take a little bit to figure it out. Like the first couple years are kind of ugly, which is why like Bertans was so weird. Like I feel like shooters usually age really well and get better at shooting the older they get, and then like Bertans just forgot how to shoot
because he didn't work out that
like
whole.
Yeah, true. That one off season we didn't work out.
He got paid the bag and he just didn't touch a basketball for months. It was like, okay. That was crazy. Rashawn Holmes is next. Not really much to say about this guy. I'm just gonna put him in D. I think he hasn't really played at all.
I know you like him when he plays, but
he's been really decent when he's played. I actually think in the 8 games he's played, but yeah, he just doesn't play.
Oof, 8 games. 8 minutes per game. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. I said, he's been okay. He's a decent third string guy. Probably not going to see the floor, but if he does see the floor, you don't like hate it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he's a negative, but he's just not really positive either.
No, he's got like decent decision making, but he doesn't shoot that well. And like he can do the thing every big man does, where you just stand in the block and dunk it. But
yeah, pretty much.
I don't know. His skill set's very replaceable.
Yeah,
but he's been fine for us, so whatever.
And I'm sure he's 31. He's a veteran. Process Sixers veteran apparently.
I had no clue.
Me neither. Until probably a hoop grade guy too. He's probably been on a lot of teams.
He's a good hoop grade guy.
Marvin Bagley the third is next. He's played 19 games. He's kind of been injured the whole season. I don't want to put him in D. Also, I was even thinking F. I know I probably shouldn't expect stuff out of Marvin Bagley, but I was expecting a little more than what he's been doing. I know he's been injured, but because he was decent last year, so
I'd be fine with D.
I'm putting him at the end of D.
Yeah, I just don't. He hasn't done anything at all. Like I think, if you told me he didn't play all year, I would have been like, oh.
Yeah, like sense. Not surprised.
No. And he's another one of those guys that
he had a 20-point game against Memphis.
He's gonna have a bigger role once we trade Val for sure.
Yes.
For better or for worse. So maybe we do one of these at the end of the year. We see if that changes with him.
I think we should.
But as of now, he just hasn't done shit, and he's kind of redundant because Sarr has shown that he's fine to stay out there for as long as they need him to. So you just have Sarr out there. Val plays 20 minutes a game, supplementing Sarr, and that's it. You don't need any other centers.
What's kind of crazy is I'm looking back through his whole career. This guy, I mean, he's always labeled as a bust, right? He's averaged over 10 pretty much his whole career. So this is kind of an outlier season where and it's really just because he's not getting minutes. And I know there's a reason for it. It's because of Val. It's because he doesn't really play much defense. But I think once Val is traded, we will start to see more Marvin Bagley minutes. And like you said, once we do this again at the end of the season, we might be singing a little different tune about him. Because
maybe
he might have gotten more minutes. He might have produced a little more. If Rashawn Holmes is taking Marvin Bagley's minutes, it's done. He's probably done. Johnny Davis is F.
He has to prove. Yeah. Bagley needs to prove something because, like, he's 25. He's not going to have a future in the NBA much longer if he's the same player. So
exactly.
It's a big year for him to figure it out if Val does get traded.
Yeah, and like they said, the offense is fine. He really just needs to lock in defensively. If he can lock in defensively and figure that side of the ball out, he can stick in the NBA. If he can't,
He's cooked.
Yeah. Should we talk about Johnny Davis? He's kind of been disappointing for years.
No. We don't need to talk about Johnny Davis. Everybody knows my opinion on Johnny Davis. He's been somehow even worse than I expected this year.
He's been worse than I expected too.
So
he's been really bad.
That's all I gotta say about him.
This was kind of his last year to make an impact. I thought he could do it maybe as a hustle guy. He hasn't really done that.
He's out of the league next year,
so he's probably done. Corey Kispert. My initial thing is to put him in C. Kispert's. If you gave this to me like a couple months ago, he would have been D or F, but he's kind of picked it up a little bit as we continue to go. He's shooting
35% from three,
which is
a little above.
I think a career low actually, but his start of the season really hurts that. It's not quite a career low, but it's close.
His rookie year, I think he shot worse, right?
Yeah, he shot 35%.
Yeah, so it's basically the same as his rookie year.
Which is not what you want to see.
No, it's not what you want to see. But he's scoring at the same amount when he's shooting 42% from three. So to me, that means he's been better at cutting.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird because we have a lot of guys who we kind of want to simplify their offense. So his gets a little more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Where when he's on the floor with Bub's kind of taking up his role of okay, I'm gonna sit outside of the 3-point line until I get the ball, and then I'm gonna make a play or just shoot it. And that was always kind of Kispert's thing, where he wasn't really good at making a play, so it's just okay, give it to Kispert, he'll shoot it, he'll figure it out. So he hasn't had a lot of that this year. He's had a lot more cuts and getting it in the block and laying it in.
Yeah.
So he's been good at adapting to a slightly different role, I'd say. But the shooting isn't there. The defense obviously isn't there.
And that's not even Kispert's fault. He's just too small.
Yeah, exactly. But he's averaging 11, averaging over 10. He's averaging about what he did in his second year. He had a really good year last year, so it's a little disappointing.
Yeah.
But I'd be fine to see him in C. He's been...
The shooting's coming around, too. Like I said, when we do this at the end of the season, maybe pick... Because he had a really, really bad start to the year shooting. So to even see it at 35 means it's been pretty good.
He was at 27 at one point.
It was really bad.
It was really bad.
Definitely a slump. But shooters go through that. Shooters go through slumps. You gotta just keep shooting.
Yeah.
And Kispert has done that. Should we save Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole for last?
Let's save
Let's do Patrick Baldwin first. I don't even know what this dude is doing. Yeah.
I've not seen him play a single game.
He's shooting 55% from three.
I don't care.
20 games, 4 minutes. I mean, honestly, that deserves D.
Okay, put him D. If you want to put him D.
He's actually averaging less points than Johnny Davis, though, which is a little funny. Less shots.
And less minutes than Johnny Davis.
Yeah.
He's playing half the minutes as Johnny Davis.
Okay. He is shooting 50%, 55%.
I don't have many attempts.
About one. Which is,
one in his 20 games.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he's played 20 games. I'm going to be honest.
It's all the garbage time.
It's true, but he's played more games than Bagley. I guess
Bagley's been injured. Yeah, it's just a lot of garbage. I can't. When did Bagley start? It's just a lot of.
Actually, I'm surprised Justin Champagne's only played 27.
Because he was getting DMPs at the beginning of the season, which I guess makes sense because Justin Champagne's only 23. I don't know why I thought he was 27.
Yeah.
He feels like he's 27.
Maybe it's his brother.
Maybe.
Julian.
I thought they were twins.
I thought so too.
Whatever, we'll figure that out later. Alex Sarr.
Oh yeah, they were twins.
We can have our first A+, or are we sticking Alex Sarr in A? Because he's been...
I might be glazing, but I would put him in A+, I'm not going to lie. He's been really good, and not just really good in that he's first in Rookie of the Year. He's been good in a way that I did not expect coming into this year. I thought he might have to see G League time, or at least be the backup all year. But he's taken the starting role. How many games has he started this year?
Every game. He started every game.
Oh, he started every game.
He started and he's not played in every game, but he's played in a majority of the games.
Oh yeah, he started every single game, and just looking at it, he's averaging the same amount of points as Valanciunas as a rookie. He's averaging about one less rebound, 1.5 than Valanciunas as a rookie. And where's the blocks?
He's averaging about 1.6 blocks, which is down from where it was at the beginning of the year, actually.
Which is down, but almost 2 blocks a game is still very impressive. And I think his defense has been even better than at the beginning of the season, even though he hasn't had the blocks. He had that one like 6-block game the other day, right? Which was super impressive. Oh, he has an ankle injury. Ooh.
He'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be fine. But his offense has just been like a lot more developed than I expected. And that like, what's he shooting? He's shooting
30%.
30% from three, which I am super surprised about. You remember when we were talking about him shooting like 18% at the end or something?
Yeah, so he's
like,
really turned
really
it around.
Come around. And like he looks a lot more poised. He's not lurking for the blocks all the time anymore because he's in the perimeter guarding team's second best perimeter player.
Yeah.
And like the Bilal French duo always looks good, but he looks like he's grown a lot more with Bub, where they actually have set plays for each other and stuff. Like he's been really impressive to me. Not sure if he's going to develop into a star or anything, but
I think he is.
I've been very happy with his offense, and like defense is, if anything, better than advertised. I didn't expect him to be able to guard the perimeter like this.
Yeah, he's been pretty fantastic. Pretty much the whole season. The only reason why I wouldn't put him in A+ and I put him in high A is because he looks very ugly doing a lot of the stuff. There's definitely some times where like his shooting is really, really poor for a big man.
Yeah. And
I get a lot of that is he's taken a lot of threes, but he's struggled catching the ball down low a couple times. He struggled like his moves. It's hard to describe because sometimes they look fantastic, and then other times it's like the ugliest thing I've ever seen. And then like somehow it goes in, but usually it doesn't.
Yeah, he's really addicted to those stupid floaters too. Like I'd like to see him dunk a little more, but at the same time, like it's kind of hard because he has to work with his physical limitations. Where like obviously I'd like to see him dunk more. Obviously I'd like to see him bully the big man and get layups, but
he's not quite as strong
big enough.
Yet.
Yeah, like
he's
just kind of a skinny guy. He's 19. He hasn't really filled out yet. So I like that he's kind of taking what comes to him in the offense and not trying to force like the traditional big man play. He's willing to take threes. He's willing to take those awkward floaters and mid ranges because that's not really his game. That's never what he used to really be doing.
He definitely reminds me of a Jaren Jackson type player.
Yes, I like that comparison a lot. Where like maybe his 3-point shooting never comes along that well, but I honestly view his defense as just as good, if not better, than Jaren Jackson.
Yeah, or at least we'll
now,
get there.
But you know, like the potential.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm still gonna stick him in high A though. He has shattered my expectations, but it hasn't been like, oh, this guy's run away, like he's gonna be a star.
No.
Even though I still think he will be. People are calling him bust after summer league, so just to show that he will stick in the NBA.
And that's why I kind of wanted to put him A+. Like I'm totally fine with him top A, but just like based on my expectations going in, he has shattered those.
Yeah.
I did not expect him to be averaging double digits at all, and he's averaging almost 12.
We could glaze a little bit. We'll put him in A+. he's our rookie.
We gotta be homers a bit.
We gotta be homers a bit. Tristan Vukcevic.
Put him F.
I'm putting him at
7 games.
He's played 7 games and he came in out of shape. And
he's got
you're
a 3
a
minutes
second
a
year
game
guy.
in 7 games, and he's just not doing shit. He's shooting like 20% from 3, 12% from 3. Ugh. And he's supposed to be like a stretch the floor shooting big man.
Yeah, he has been definitely one of the more disappointing players for me. Because coming into the season, like he looked pretty good at Summer League. He played a couple of games last year where he looked decent. Mm-hmm. And then just hearing the stories, he didn't work out. It just doesn't seem like he has the work ethic. Second round pick.
Points against Dallas last night, so.
Oh yeah, in the 30 minutes of garbage time. He's just been disappointing. I think he could figure it out, but he needs to work on his work ethic, I think, in order to make that happen. Yeah, he needs to work. Here we go. Our 2 quote-unquote best players. I'm going to start with Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole, I want to put in A+. He's been our best player by far.
He has.
And after the absolute stinker he had last season, he's been showing. I mean, he was an all-star consideration, which he was never going to get it, but he was there. He was like a name that people threw around.
It's good to see. He's the only one on the team averaging over 20. He's shooting over 40% from 3. And
he had their first 10 assist game all season the other day.
His assist to turnover ratio is ugly. He's not an assist first point guard by any means, but also nobody's making any of the shots, so it's.
Yeah, I'm curious what his shots like generated is. I don't know how to find that off, like just going off that, but I'm very curious what it is.
Yeah, me too.
Because like I feel like the assists don't really tell the whole story. Because when the team's shooting like a collective like less than 30% from three, it's kind of hard to really get those assist numbers up.
It is very hard.
But he shoot like you said, he's shooting 40% on tough shots. These are not easy.
No. And he's not getting any spacing. He's not getting any help. It's just really him doing it all on his own.
Yeah.
I've been very impressed with him.
He's been fun to watch.
Bounce back season.
Yeah, 17 last season on 32% from three, 21 this season on 40. Definitely proving he could be a building block, or even a trade piece down the line. And did we talk about this last time? How the Warriors got destroyed in this trade? I don't remember.
I don't remember, but I'm always happy to talk about the Warriors' downfall, so I'm down.
Because they traded Jordan Poole, who they could really use right about now, for a guy who's not on the team anymore.
Yeah, and
that's it.
The thing to me is that if it might have been Draymond versus Poole, and they were just like, well, that's Draymond's our guy. But
I really am sorry.
It's that was crazy. And then did you see on the podcast? He was like, yeah, I just want to like have it die down and go away. So like, what are you talking about, man? You're the one that keeps bringing it up. You made a whole documentary about it.
Yeah, Jordan Poole hasn't said like anything about it.
No, that was the first thing he said, basically. But Draymond's one of those players. He's like a ceiling raiser, but he's not a floor raiser at all. And they need a floor raiser, and that's what. I mean, maybe Jordan Poole's not really a floor raiser either.
Well, he kind of is.
He's
definitely raised the Wizards' floor from like 0 wins to 6.
6, yeah.
So.
And he's what the Warriors need right now. Secondary ball handling, just shooting, just like microwave offense. Nobody can shoot on that team. It feels like nobody can score besides Steph, and Steph's having a rough year. So it really makes me wonder, like, what are the optics internally for the Warriors? Like, is it like, oh, well, that's our guy, we stuck by our guy, like, we're riding out the championship core? Or is it like, shit, we really should have traded him to keep Poole?
Or they should have traded Poole and then also traded Kuminga and Moody and kind of went all in on Steph, which they also didn't do.
Yeah. I mean, they could still do that. Kuminga hasn't looked that great this year, but they should.
And he's injured. Kuminga's injured right now, so.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens at the deadline. We'll have a deadline episode as well. We'll probably talk about the entire NBA in that one. Because that's a big... last player, Kyle Kuzma. I mean,
last and least player, Kyle Kuzma.
Hasn't been quite as disappointing as Vucevic, but...
I mean,
man. In context, maybe.
Like, he's averaging, let's see, points per game, like
Kuzma.
0.5 more than Brogdon, somehow.
I mean, Kuzma
2
has
assists, 5 rebounds. He's shooting 27% from 3 and 59% from the free throw line.
That's the really surprising one. 59%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a he's checked out. It's like he forgot how to shoot.
Yeah.
Thing.
Basically a 1-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, 2.6 assists to 2.4 turnovers. It's just like, that's the thing that really pisses me off about Kuzma. When he won, I'm sure all the Wizards fans have seen his stupid fucking quote where he was like, I'm not fitting in with what they wanted me to do here anymore. I'm doing my own thing. And it's like, when did you ever fit in with what they were trying to do here, man? You don't assist, you don't pass, you don't play defense, you can't shoot anymore. What the fuck are you doing for us?
Yeah.
Like, he worded it like he's been sacrificing all year, and it's like, dude, you haven't done. This is after your.
This is like career lows across the board.
Where you could have done this all year. You could have been averaging 30 this year because you have the green light to shoot as many times as you want. You just suck ass.
Yeah, and I would honestly, if he went out there and demanded the ball like he said he was going to do, and put up an average 30, and a team is like, look at what he could do when he gets the ball, maybe off our bench. Sure, but he's not really doing that.
He kind of did it last night. 3 for 11, 7 points, 6 rebounds. Got pulled because he was so fucking ass.
Yeah.
Like, that's... He's on a good contract. That's the saving grace. We got him on a really, really nice contract where it's even like, if he needs to be the 6th man, it's not a bad contract.
And it's also something like, we saw Poole have a really bad season last season and bounce back. This could very well be the same thing. The difference is Kuzma is 29.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is who Kuzma is as a player.
I don't think so either.
I think there are.
I want him off my team.
Yeah, our last 6-7 years of sample size show that it isn't. Yeah. So it's just kind of disappointing that he's having this type of year now, especially when they could have traded him for a lot at the deadline last season.
Yes, which he declined that trade. You could have done that. You could have done the finals last year, bro.
You can't listen to. You can't really listen to Kuzma if you're the front office.
I mean, it's a tough position because it's a player league, so you kind of have to.
Yeah.
Because if you trade him and he's not happy, he's gonna make it's Kuzma. He is going to make a huge stink about it, and it's gonna be a whole fucking drama thing. Because he loves drama.
Yeah. I think he'll turn it around. Maybe not this year, but eventually. And I honestly think the Wizards won't trade him this year.
I don't think so either. I think the Wizards are happy to keep him for 3 more years if they need, and just trade him on the last year.
Yeah, he's not Jimmy Butler. He's not like, if he's like, oh, I'm not gonna play. It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, who cares? I think he's not Jimmy Butler in a way. If he doesn't play, he might not get another contract.
Yes, that's true. So we'll see. I am hoping he turns it around for the Wizards' sake, for his value's sake, and just because. When he like last year and even the year before, I mean, he was a good player. He was averaging over 20 points a game. He was fun to watch for the Wizards, even if it was ugly at times. So to see him just have this complete kind of meltdown offensively, it's very, very weird. But hopefully the shooting comes back. Because if the shooting comes back, he'll be back to that 20 points scoring. But no guarantees.
Yeah, he's I like him. Just like generally as a
basketball player.
Yes, as a basketball player. To be generally, I do not like him as a person. But he just like, if he doesn't have his offense going, he doesn't contribute anything. And like I said,
he's been getting cooked on defense all season this year.
He's making what, 23 a year right now?
But it's declining, 19 right?
At the end. So it's like, it's not crippling the team. It's not hampering our long-term future or anything. Like, maybe we miss out on a late first or two, which is like, okay, that sucks, but it's not the end of the world. Getting an early second is fine, or like a late second, whatever. Who cares? The big thing to me is he's kind of fucking the development of some of our young guys. So I just like to see him off the team.
Yeah.
If you see the stats, I saw it the other day. Bilal with Kuzma on is like averaging 10. 4 and 3 or something, and with Kuzma off the court, he's averaging like 15, 6 and 8 or something. So it's like there's clear effects to having Kuzma on the court. Negative.
I do wonder with that is if Kuzma does start to play his own game, as he said, if that would actually help Bilal and show him like, hey, this is what you need to be doing. Like, you need to be demanding the ball. You need to be the one to make the play. Maybe that's just cope, but
yeah, I also don't know if that's maybe that's not the internal. Maybe they don't want Bilal doing all that,
Maybe,
like,
but as like if you want to be a star player, that's what you got to do,
For sure. But I don't know. It's there's no good solution really, because the good solution is trading him for a good haul, which is kind of off the table now. So I hope he puts it together, but I'm not confident, especially because he just seems pretty checked out. But also, like, he's not even good enough to do a Ben Simmons. He's too old. He's kind of shown who he is, and that's like a decent to mediocre role player. Yeah.
Although, he definitely showed that he could be the 3rd or 4th option. I mean, he was the 4th option on championship team, so that's probably...
I mean, 3rd or 4th option to me is usually a pretty good role player. Like, it's not a star, usually. And if it is a star, I don't... Honestly, past couple years have shown me I don't really love the 3-star teams. You got your whole team to build around 3 stars.
I haven't really loved that either.
It looks ugly. Even kind of the Bucks has looked really.
Bucks have looked a lot better.
They looked a lot better now, and they have kind of less of a 3-star problem because it's Chris Middleton.
Yeah, the Bucks. I'm gonna contribute the Bucks turnaround entirely to Gary Trent because I was shitting on him at the beginning of the season.
He's been great,
and he's turned it around tremendously. He's shooting 43% from 3 now. Like, he has gone on an absolute heater.
Brook Lopez also had a really bad start to the year. Like, it was a lot of the supplementary players having a tough
Bobby
beginning.
Portis too.
But also, like, they're all kind of old, so it's tough to say if they're having a tough start or if they're just kind of washed.
Yeah,
I'm glad to see them because I like the Bucks. I am happy to see the Sixers role players are completely washed, but that's a different story.
That's another question. Last thing before we go, how much time are we at? About 40 minutes. Yeah, last thing before we go. I want to check in with Denny Avdia because there was an interesting question I saw in Wizard Space about if they regret trading Denny.
I don't. I'll just go ahead and say that right now.
Yeah, I don't either. because he's having about the same season as he had with us last year, but for Portland. He's definitely been one of their better players over the last couple games, but I still think they traded him at peak value. If he, I think the most he's going to develop is maybe a fringe all-star, and you got the value for that. So
yeah, two first 2 seconds is good value for
a player like
low
that.
Star,
Yeah.
even.
And I'll be rooting for Denny. I usually root for former Wizards, with the exception of Dinwiddie. So
I am curious. I saw the same thing you did. I wonder if the person that started the discussion was a Wizards fan or a Denny fan that was coming back to check in on the Wizards. Because there's been a lot of that.
And also, it's secured us a top 5 pick pretty much, trading him, because obviously the team got a lot worse. But that's it. That's all we got for today. I hope you enjoyed. Let us know what you think, what your grades for the Wizards players would be. I know a lot of them probably be F. But with that said, we'll see you next time. Daniel Gafford, take us out.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy DG. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Nothing major. We hitting the Wizard bed tonight, baby. Let's get it. Gafford out.